In South Korea.
55kg 340g 도전자 Joon.
I don't think that MC's got any danger of putting that batter out of a job.
알겠습니다. 부심 미국의 허버트.
So referee there, Carlos Padilla from the Philippines originally, now based in America. Very experienced referee. And with him in the commentary box, Ken Morton. I'm sure he can fill us in a few of the big fights that Mr. Padilla has handled over the years.
Yeah, he's been a big... he has refereed some of the big American heavyweight title fights, and generally used in Las Vegas and Atlantic City.
So here we go then for the first round, and I refuse to call these World Championships anymore. Normally just divisional titles, just the WBC version. And Zaragoza in his third reign as a WBC champion. First challenge way back for the title, lost on points to Miguel Lara, having already beaten Fred Jackson for the championship with a 5th round stoppage. Sorry, my opponent, a 7th round stoppage in '85. Lost it in his first defence to Lara. Very snappy fighter, Zaragoza. We saw him on Eurosport outpointing Kiyoshi Hatanaka, the Japanese, in his last title defence. And Hatanaka took Zaragoza quite close over the early rounds, but then Zaragoza moved away from him with his experience. Chun Hu in the white trunks, a former Orient Pacific Boxing Federation champion at Bantamweight, and a former South Korean super flyweight champion. And the record we've been given for Chu is 25 wins and just 1 loss. I actually doubt that somehow. That means he's only had 3 fights since 1988, and that's a bit unlikely. Rated number 9 by the WBC, but not rated by any of the other organisations. Stiff right there from Hu. Daniel Zaragoza, 32 years of age now, looking every inch of it, but still a handful at this weight. Don't often see Oriental fighters with tattoos, but you'll notice that Hu's got one on his right shoulder. Oh, nice right-left there from Zaragoza. They hurt. Follow up. So he's got some respect off Hu in this first round.
These South Koreans are very brave fighters. Like the Thais and the Filipinos, they do come to fight, and they can take a lot of punishment.
Talking of Filipinos, Hu actually beat a Filipino by the name of Rolando Bohol, who you may remember Duke McKenzie beat for the IBF flyweight title. That was in July of 1986, 5 years ago now. And once again there, Zaragoza waxing a couple of good left hands.
He's certainly not finding the South Korean hard to hit.
And there looks to be a mark above Zaragoza's right eye, a bruise. So the end of the first. And Hu there appeared to be complaining of Zaragoza's head. Here's some replay, cracking left hand. And I would definitely say there's a bruise around Zaragoza's right eye. So a good opening round there for Zaragoza, the defending champion. So this one's got 12 rounds to travel. Round 2. And the only loss we can trace on Chun Hu's record was a points loss in September of 1985 when he challenged for the South Korean light flyweight championship.
So he certainly moved up the weights from light fly to super bantamweight, which is almost a stone.
But when you bear in mind that he turned professional at the age of 16 in 1984, and he's now only 23 years of age. It's hardly surprising. He's done a lot of natural growth in that time. But really, he's not much more than a stone and a quarter over his original fighting weight, is he?
No, but it's still quite a lot for a small man.
Certainly. Well, who going forward bravely in the second round. Slightly longer arms than Zaragoza. And I don't expect this to be too demanding for Zaragoza, a very experienced fighter. So far he's had 10 world title fights prior to this tonight.
Now, this is a voluntary defence by Zaragoza, so I'm sure he hasn't come away over to South Korea to lose his title. He'll look on this as a fairly easy defence.
Well, so far, Joon hasn't put him under any pressure. And interesting how this title has changed hands recently. Zaragoza lost it. And now he's got it back. I'll get to who he lost it to in a moment. In fact, he lost it in 9 rounds to Paul Banky, who in turn lost it to Pedro de Sima, who then lost it to Kiyoshi Hatanaka, who then in turn lost it once again to Daniel Zaragoza, the man here tonight. So back where it belongs.
It's beginning to sound like the British super featherweight title.
Isn't it? Another nice left there from Zaragoza. He can't seem to miss. Oh, and a nice uppercut ripped in there from Zaragoza. Oh, and again that stiff left from the Mexican champion. It's a crafty old pro, Zaragoza. And the bell to end the second. Another good round, I think, for Zaragoza.
Yeah, you've got to chalk that one up again for Zaragoza. But you wouldn't bet any money on the South Korean not lasting the distance. They're very, very tough, very, very determined.
And interestingly, you know, every fighter has his bogeyman. And I suppose the man for Zaragoza was a guy called Harold Petty. He boxed Petty twice, in 82 and 83, and lost both times to him. And Petty didn't go on to achieve anything that I can remember.
No, he was a well-known American bantamweight, but Americans are really not into bantamweights, unlike the Mexicans, who are very much so.
It's a natural weight for them, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's like the heavyweight division to the Americans. And Zaragoza has never been all that popular with the Mexicans.
But equally, you don't get many Oriental fighters that box above middleweight, do you?
You don't, no.
And very few at middleweight, in fact.
Yeah, they tend to be down in the lighter weights. There's been the odd welterweight.
I think the strawweight division was actually brought in.
It was designed for them.
And Zaragoza is at law school, training to be a lawyer. He's already completed his first year.
I think that's another reason why the Mexicans don't like him. They prefer the more gung-ho Mexican bantamweights. Zaragoza is too cagey for them.
But they've got some decent light fighters in the States. Likes of Canizales. Of course, Jorge Paez and flash guys like that are good to watch.
And Carvajal and Scotty Olsen, but they're still not big draws. They won't get the $1 million gates.
But interestingly, Hector Camacho used to bring them in, didn't he, when he was a featherweight? But now up to light welter.
Yes, but again, compared to the heavyweights, they're non-starters. The Mexicans are quite popular in California because there's a large Mexican population there. But in the eastern seaboard, they're just not quoted at all. Well, we saw Kevin Kelly a few weeks ago boxing in Belgium. He's boxing there because he can't get meaningful fights in America.
And I'll tell you one Mexican who will be unpopular in South Korea tonight if this carries on the way it's going. And that's the man facing us, Daniel Zaragoza, the WBC Super Bantamweight champion. Given a bit of a boxing lesson so far to the local favourite, Chun Hu. Very grim look of determination on Zaragoza's face, hasn't he?
Yeah, so his concentration's very good. He's got very broad shoulders for a super bantamweight. Looks very fit.
Been a pro now for 11 years, Zaragoza, and again I think that a good round for him, Ken.
Yes, again, 3-0 after 3 rounds.
5 years ago, Zaragoza took Jeff Fennick the distance in Sydney. And his second reign as champion was an excellent 10th round stoppage in 1988 over Carlos Zarate, a former modern great, in fact still a modern great, but just over the hill at that time. And that was again for this WBC Super Bantamweight Championship. Yes. And Valerio Nati, the Italian, knocked out in 5 rounds by Zaragoza. And that was a while back now. And one almost on the break there from Chun Hu. And really Zaragoza placing them as and where he likes.
Yeah, a nice variety of punches. But he's not under any pressure.
Well, nice jab there from Hu, and a nice left uppercut. Well, that's fired him up a little bit. But I think Zaragoza will punish his audacity. Although he's only 23 years of age, he's only been a professional 4 years less than Zaragoza.
Yeah, they start them young out there, don't they, at 16?
Again, a nice long jab from Hu.
Because Mexico's another country where they start young. Some as young as 14 have fought professionally.
Oh, nice long left hook there from Hu. Doing better in this round. Possibly sharing it.
Yes, he's getting a bit of success now.
Because he's taken the fight to Zaragoza. Because he needs to. And a left uppercut there from Zaragoza, but it's about the first thing he's done in this round, really. And I think Hu has got a lead in this 4th, having dropped the first 3. And a nice finish to the round from Zaragoza.
Might just
There's the bell. I'll go evens on it, and they want some more. We'll take a short break of this WBC Super Bantamweight Championship. The champion, Daniel Zaragoza from Mexico in the red trunks, defending against Chun Hu from South Korea. And so far we've got Zaragoza taking the first 3, and with a spirited attack at the end of the 4th, levelling that round. But some good work done by Chun Hu in round 4. And this is Hu's first attempt at a major championship, having already held the South Korean Super Flyweight title and the Oriental Pacific Boxing Federation Bantamweight Championship. And it will depend on how well he does here against Zaragoza as to whether he gets another shot at another version. I imagine if he does badly against Zaragoza, they'll bite his hand off to take him for something else, wouldn't you, Ken?
Yes, well, that's boxing in the 1990s. But interestingly enough, if Zaragoza does win this fight tonight, he's liable to be facing Tracy Harris Patterson, the adopted son of ex-world heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson, who's the #1 challenger, both for the WBC and for the WBA title.
But the WBC will probably strip Zaragoza of their version if he does win the WBA. They've done that before, haven't they?
They have, yes.
Very fickle organisation, and well down in my esteem over the years. Only a personal opinion. Who would you rate as the best administration at the moment?
Well, you would have said the IBF until some of their title fights have gone ahead with boxers weighing over the championship weight.
A nice left there from Zaragoza. Yes, that is a strange thing, especially on the continent recently. James Toney being one of them.
That was a blatant example.
And much more recently in America, I believe.
Yes, there was talk of a Brian Mitchell, the Tony Lopez fight that Lopez never made the 9 stone for. Really, it makes a mockery of boxing. I'm afraid with all these organisations, ethics go out the window.
All they want is the sanctioning fees.
The mighty dollar rules.
Well, a chopping left downwards there from Hu. And that eye of Zaragoza is definitely bruised and a bit lumpy, but nice solid jabs there from him.
His concentration's very good, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Eyes never leave his opponent.
And neither do his fists. You know, I've sparred with a few world champions in the past, and I think one thing that really sets them apart from other sort of run-of-the-mill fighters is their power and their strength for their size. It's unbelievable.
Yes, and they're single-minded, aren't they?
Certainly. So there's a bit of disco dancing now. Oh, well, she's enjoying it. Wonder if she fancies taking Mr. Who's place. Let him get on with the easy job.
Yes, we get a bit of come dancing here as well, thrown in.
Replay from the 5th. Gave that round to Zaragoza as well. "32 years of age, of course, for a super bantam is quite ancient, isn't it?"
It is, yes. 27, 28 is about the time for hanging up the gloves with most of the smaller fighters. But Zaragoza does look 100% fit, doesn't he?
He certainly does. Well, this crowd getting... Oh, and a terrible headbutt there from Chun Hu. And it's done some damage to Zaragoza's right eye. Look, you can see it there. It's cut. Well, I'll tell you what, if I was Mr. Pilley, I would throw this South Korean out. Ken?
That was totally unwarranted and uncalled for.
It's
and
completely
look at the damage.
split his head. What a terrible action to make. What a stupid man. And I wouldn't blame Zaragoza if he really played up on this one and got Hu thrown out. But dare Padilla do it.
Well, we've had an example of South Korean crowds in the past when the Olympic Games. They don't take kindly to their own fighters getting what they think is a raw deal.
That was awful. Now, this could actually cost Zaragoza's championship if that cut were to worsen and to spread and to start spilling blood into his eye and inconvenience him. I mean, that could be very serious for Zaragoza in the long run, don't you think?
The only thing is, if the fight was stopped, probably it would go to the judges' scorecards. So it might work to his advantage.
But is that in operation in the WBC rules?
I would think it is. There are so many organisations, so many different rules, but I would think it would.
Well, now look at that blood poured all over poor Zaragoza's face, and I think he's going to punish Hu now. I'd like to see him hurt Hu badly for that. And you couldn't blame him for doing it back, could you?
Oh, as I say, what about the referee? I mean, surely the referee must take action.
Well, he's obviously deducted a point. I mean, although he didn't make any gesture to the ringside officials to take any points off.
No,
Who.
I didn't see him make any gesture.
Well, I hope Mr. Who is proud of himself.
And I hope Mr. Padilla, the referee's proud of himself as well.
A quick, swift kick and the family jewels wouldn't have gone amiss there, Ken. Look at the state of poor old Zaragoza. Now what? Oh, he's playing up.
Looks as if he's maybe got caught an accidental thumb in the eye.
What a shame, eh? That eye's almost a slit now, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
almost looks oriental.
I think he's playing it up a bit too much, don't you? Oh, goodness me, he's actually taken a point of Zaragoza. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Well, I hope we see that again in replay, because I wasn't quite sure what happened. Possibly an elbow from Zaragoza, but you can't blame him, can you?
Oh, well, he didn't get any protection from the referee, so he's taking it into his own hands.
I just wonder if Mr. Padilla, with Oriental connections, possibly over-sympathising with Who.
Well, who knows?
He probably does. Oh, one there, a bit low from Zaragoza.
It's getting a bit interesting.
Let's hope he chucks another one down there. As I say, it doesn't bother me now. I just don't like to see acts of violence in a boxing ring. I know that sounds like a misnomer, but boxing's a very artistic, clean sport when done properly, and the last thing you need are blatant fouls. It's hard enough when it's done right against you.
And you don't like to see a boxer getting away with a blatant foul done in front of the referee.
No, and once again, Zaragoza there beat the life out of Chun Hu, I'm glad to say. Punished him for that errant behaviour of a terrible headbutt, and I'm not sure if we'll see it again, or we'll see the retaliation, I think, of an elbow from Zaragoza. Here we go. Well, I'm not sure what point we're at here. Oh, lovely uppercut there. Well, the damage has already occurred, in fact, to Who's left eye. You can just see there. And again, great punches there from Zaragoza. And he's spilled a lot of blood so far, hasn't he?
Perhaps Zaragoza's into the Thai-style kickboxing where you're allowed to use your elbow.
I'm sure it was an elbow that Padilla took a point off him for. Well, once again, nice left hands there from Zaragoza. And if that cut had been just another inch towards the right, well,
we would have been in serious trouble.
Well, he wouldn't have been here now, would he, Ken?
No, he would not.
And would Padilla have had the courage, unlike he showed when the incident occurred, to have awarded the decision to the defending champion? I must admit, I can't say a good word about him at the moment. It's a very spiteful thing to have done against a reliable and very good-natured champion, really.
A solid pro, Zaragoza, but he's proved he can take care of himself.
Well, as you said before, Padilla's not going to take care of him. Not in the South Korean capital of Seoul.
Yeah, they make the Glasgow fight crowd look like pussycats, don't they?
They are. Yeah, you do get a few run decisions up your way, don't you, Ken?
Yeah, when they import English referees, we do, yes.
Can you remember the last?
Well, the one which caused recent controversy was the Ronnie Carroll-Joe Kelly fight, which most of the punters went for Joe Kelly, even the Carroll supporters. And always a good indication was, I thought, the demeanour of Carroll in the last couple of rounds. I think he thought he'd lost the fight.
Who was the referee? Can you remember?
Dave Paris.
Oh, I see.
From London.
So back to the action. Daniel Zaragoza, the defending WBC Super Bantamweight champion, giving the challenger Chun Hu from South Korea a good hiding. We've only given 1 round even so far, but the rest of them, the other 5 to Zaragoza. And I think Mr. Padilla there just dared tick off Chun Hu.
Well, it sounded, I think Ho 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 was addressed to Mr. Hu.
And Zaragoza would love to knock him out, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if he's got the punch to do that. I say those South Koreans are hard to knock out, especially at the lighter weights. A bit different when they move up to the welterweights.
Yeah. So at the end of another good round there for Zaragoza. 7 gone. 5 to go. Who else can we have a pop at, Ken?
Well, do you remember Lloyd Honeyghan when he fought the South Korean in Las Vegas, who had a dying swan act for 5 minutes and
yes.
refused to continue?
Absolutely. Look, body low shots there as well from Chun Hu. Can't remember his name though, Ken, can you?
No, I can't. No.
Difficult to know with South Korea. Well, the Orientals, in fact, whether they're happy or sad, isn't it?
It is, yes. They've got rather inscrutable features. They've always got this very determined look about them.
So round 8 then. And Zaragoza fully in command and looks on his way to retaining his championship, unless, of course, Mr. Hu has some other ideas about using his head or even his feet. Oh, nice right there from Hu. Oh, a low one from Zaragoza.
Zaragoza's still got a few fights left in him.
How do you think you'll get on with Patterson?
That would be a really interesting fight. I think I would hedge my bets on that one. Possibly Patterson's youth might just be too much for him.
Yeah, he's very enthusiastic, isn't he? But then you've got all this experience that Zaragoza's got in the bank. That could also...
Well, that's what makes the fight so interesting. And it's rather a romantic story with Floyd Patterson having adopted this young boy, and he's turned out to be possibly fighting for a world championship.
Just a shame he wasn't a heavyweight, really. And there's more blood on Zaragoza's face, this time in the centre of his forehead, and I'm not sure if he's got another cut. Well, that's the sad thing about age, you know, it makes your skin that much more fragile and more prone to cuts. Oh, what a cracking uppercut there from Zaragoza.
And another one.
Piling it on now. Oh, and again, they measured that right hook superbly, but look how Chun Hu just walked straight through it. And again.
I think he's enjoying it.
Maybe it's penitence that he feels he should accept.
Yes, because it was quite a crack with the head, because it's very difficult for a Mexican with their leathery skin to be cut.
But Zaragoza's age, I think, is a factor in that.
Yes, and all the fights he's had, yeah. It's definitely the aging process. None of us can beat age. Even you, Steve.
Another good round this for Zaragoza. Can't seem to miss, can he? Big looping left there from Zaragoza. And he's finding this South Korean a very hard man to shift. And he's not going to fight for too long if he keeps taking shots like this. And there's the bell to end an excellent round for Zaragoza. We'll take another short break and be right back for round 9. Round 9. the home stretch of this WBC Super Bantamweight Championship. The champion in the red trunks, Daniel Zaragoza from Mexico, against his South Korean challenger, Chun Hu. Oh, what a cracking little right there. Feinted with the left. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, how the WBC very conveniently slip Chun Hu in at number 9.
Well, yen's top, if that's the currency over there. I wonder if John Davison's watching this one tonight.
It'd be a cracking fight, wouldn't it?
It would certainly, yes.
Zaragoza and Davison. I'd like to see that.
Well, unfortunately, Davison's nursing a fractured jaw. And liable to be out the ring for about 6 months.
And by the time he gets himself back into shape, Zaragoza may well have lost that championship.
Well, if recent history points to that, doesn't it?
Yep. But what a good fight, though.
It would be a cracker.
Who would you fancy?
Depends where the fight is. Over in the northeast.
And interestingly, John Davison the same age as Daniel Zaragoza, but not nearly as shot-worn, is he?
No, well, Davison didn't start boxing really until he was about 25. And that was as an amateur.
30, yeah. And I think that wound on the right side of Zaragoza's head, caused by that headbutt, has got a bit worse.
Yeah, but it is to the side of the eye, fortunately.
Ooh, well, a hard right there from Chun Hu.
Now, he's not hard to hit, is he, Mr. Hu?
He's not, is he? Little Zaragoza's got legs like a sparrow, hasn't he?
Yeah, but look at those shoulders.
Very broad.
Good build.
So there's the bell to end another round, we believe, for Daniel Zaragoza. And so far, we haven't given a round against him, with 9 gone and just the 4th a level one.
Yeah, you've got to agree with that. Oh, here's the dancing starting again.
I think they're probably preferring it, rather than seeing their man getting beaten.
Oh, they must know their man's getting well beaten.
So just 3 rounds to go to settle this. And I'll be very, very surprised. Mind you, having said that, Padilla did order the judges to take us a point off Zaragoza's score, so at least he'll be on 119 points before we even get to the end, and that's if we give him every round. Work on the 10-point system, with the winner of the round getting 10, and the loser proportionately less. But in the single points, no half points. So if you just lose a round, you'll get 9. If you get battered and floored, you'll probably get 8.
And that is mandatory, that you do only get 8 points if you are knocked down.
Really?
Yes, it is in the WBC rules. A knockdown does score an extra point.
So you could be an infinitely superior boxer and win every round, or win most of the rounds, but be put on the floor a couple of times in a few of them.
Yes,
and you could end up losing.
Trouble. Yes.
Strange. Mind you, their rules are up the spout anyway, aren't they?
Well, they are, but that has been in the rule book for many a year. But again, the Americans, it's all down to America, isn't it? They go for aggression in a big way, and a knockdown does score big in America. One hard punch, they reckon, is worth a lot more than 4 or 5 soft jabs.
Even if they score?
Even if they score, yes.
Very strange.
Well, they even drive on the wrong side of the road over there.
Well, Chun Hu trying to make a fight of it here in the 10th round. Left it far too late on my card. Probably just hoping that Father Time is going to catch up with the champion of this last 3 rounds.
Zaragoza always moving nicely to his right.
Yes, trying to stay away from that probably more powerful shot on the right hand of Hu. Again, nice combination punches there, and a switch to orthodox. Oh, and again, look, bouncing those huge rights off the side of Hu's head. Oops, and a big miss there from Zaragoza. That's the only problem with throwing those big punches. If you miss, you look silly.
But he's landed enough of them not to bother too much about it. But his eye seems to be worsening.
It does, doesn't it? Well, it's not his eye exactly, is it? It's near
the
his
side
temple.
of his temple, yeah.
And he's really throwing those punches with bad intentions, isn't he? Oh, look at that uppercut.
Again. That was like an action replay there.
Yes. Well, there's lots of good action here. Been a very competitive fight, this, hasn't it? Although a bit one-sided. So the end of round 10, and another excellent round for Daniel Zaragoza, the defending champion. It sounded like a bit of a contradiction there, what I said. A very competitive fight.
Well, it's certainly been a hard fight.
It's been a tough fight, hasn't it?
Yes. Not helped by getting his eye damaged for Zaragoza.
And here's that switch to southpaw, bouncing those huge right hands.
Yeah, there's a lot of fighters would have been in the deck long before now.
Goodness me, and they landed flush on Hu's eye. Well, there's nothing really that they can suggest to their man, I don't think. And he's also picked up a cut on his left eye, Hu. Very laid-back character, Zaragoza.
Yeah, well, he's been through it before, hasn't he? He's won and lost his title, he's won it back again.
And this is 11th World Championship fight for Daniel Zaragoza tonight. And I think he's an absolute certainty to hang on to this championship. Time out, there's a bandage come loose on Hu's glove, or a bit of tape. And they're not prone to quitting, these guys, are they?
No, it's just not in their culture, is it? Touch of the kamikaze about them, although it's from a different country, but it's from that part of the world.
I think the only way Zaragoza could lose this one was by loss of blood. Not got an awful lot of it in that little body, has he?
No, he does not, no.
And it's obviously cut on quite a major point because it's been pumping quite furiously,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and an artery, possibly.
And what's that on Chun Hu's trunks? It looks like he's fallen in the mud, doesn't it?
Yes. Is this...
I wonder if it might be some iodine or something that they've used in the corner and spilt it on him. If they have done, it's illegal. Obviously something that they've applied in the corner has spilt onto his trunks.
Because that could be dangerous, because he was rubbing it there with his glove. If it is iodine and got into Zaragoza's eye...
Or the cut itself, because it would sting like hell, wouldn't it?
It would, yes. But it could actually blind Zaragoza.
As if the blood isn't bad enough. And then there you see again, Ken, he's actually wiping his left glove on his trunk before he throws it.
Yes.
But Zaragoza very, very determined to try and get rid of this man. He wants to hurt him, make him pay for that earlier infringement, and possibly one that we're seeing going on before our very eyes.
Yeah, whatever that is on whose trunks, it's not the 1 in 1,000 adrenaline solution, which is the only thing which is allowed in British rings.
Well, I think there should be an inquiry into this, and Padilla has not taken the slightest bit of notice of it. Makes you wonder why, doesn't it?
That's maybe why he gets refereeing all these world title fights.
I'm not trying to suggest it's a yes man, of course.
Would we ever?
He's put some weight on over the years, hasn't he, Padilla? He's still quite light on his feet.
Yes, this is a bit different from the... He refereed the thrill in Manila, didn't he?
He did, yes. Home from home, really, wasn't it? Another little clash of heads there. Accidental this time.
Yes, I think it's Las Vegas he now lives in America. I'm sure Zaragoza now will just be quite glad to hear the final bell.
I'm sure Chun Hu will be even gladder. He's getting whacked, isn't he?
Yeah, but Zaragoza with this eye and, as I say, this substance that's on his opponent's trunks, which seem to be transferred to his gloves from time to time.
Oh, look at that uppercut.
The perils of fighting away from home.
Zaragoza really hasn't put a foot wrong in this round, has he? He's whacked Chun Hu all over the place. And there's the bell to end the penultimate round, and a superb round for Zaragoza. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he was getting some of these rounds by a double point.
He should be, yes. Unfortunately, he hasn't put his man down on the floor, which would definitely have got him the extra point.
Might have got disqualified, Ken, if he'd have done anything like that. But I am very interested in that stain on Chun Hu's trunks. That's something you don't see unless it's deliberately applied. And in fact, just before this exchange, Chun Hu did rub his left glove on his trunks, and you can see a black spot on the glove there of Chun Hu.
Looks like it, yes. Yeah, you've got to be good to defend your title in South Korea.
So here we go then for the 12th and last round, the last 3 minutes, and Chun Hu needs the proverbial knockout to win, I'm sure. Zaragoza, well, he just needs to coast this round if he can, but knowing him, he'll go all out. And once again there, Chun Hu complaining.
I think in the previous exchange he had a crafty little misuse of the head again, which wasn't too successful. But Zaragoza just letting him know that he had spotted it.
Well, they both know they've been in a fight in the morning, won't they?
Yes, especially Mr. It must always be more painful for the loser.
Unless, of course, they're giving Chun Hu some sort of drinking chocolate in that corner and spilling it as they're applying, because that stain's even bigger now, if you can see.
Yes, unfortunately we didn't see in the corner what they were doing there in the minute interval.
Well, it's been a very brave, if not reckless, performance this from Chun Hu on occasion. But Ken, we haven't so far given a round against the defending champion.
No, the only ones who managed to do that really will be the judges and Mr. Padilla by taking away a round from Zaragoza.
a bit of missing now. Unlike Zaragoza, he normally connects, doesn't he?
But he's kept a very, very good pace throughout the 12 rounds.
He did the same against Hatanaka, which broke Hatanaka's heart in the end, really.
Now he's still pumping blood. Mind you, once he's a lawyer, it'll be his clients that'll be bleeding.
At least their wallets will be anyway. National sport in America, isn't it?
Yes, yes. It is in our country as well.
So you get a few jokes thrown in. Chun Hu there complaining of a low blow. He should keep his head up then, shouldn't he? And look at this rally from Zaragoza to finish this off. About 30 seconds left.
Superb at 32 years of age.
I hope I'm like that when I'm 32. And there we go. Well, there's a bit of bad blood, I'm sure, between these two, especially from Zaragoza, but it looks like an overwhelming win for him. I didn't give a round against him, and ignoring the fact that they'd taken a point off, I've got him winning that bun by 120 to 108 every single round, with the exception of a level in the fourth. So 120 to 109. Well, we're not going to hear the scores, unfortunately, but a cracking defence there from Zaragoza. We'll take a short break and be right back with action from America.